Hey y'all, so I got a question for all you guys. My name is Michael. I've been fishing the high school tournaments for 2 years for Southern Outcast Dinwiddie, and I feel like there's plenty of high school anglers in here, and all of us, we want to be what y'all do. We want to be elite pros. We want to fish it professionally. But I mean, it just feels like there's so much competition. There's so much learning. It's very overwhelming. Like a lot of us, we don't get the start that some of these boys get. Like they get bass boats for free because they know people and all that. Like I don't have that kind of opportunity. But what is like one thing or a couple things y'all would give to a high school angler who wants to do it professionally and just that could mirror out their entire career?
That's a question that I'm sure we all get a lot. And I think it's a question that can only be answered by your passion for the sport. I know Matt and myself, that's the way we started. If you look at Jacob Wheeler, he started the same way, and he's at the top. Like he's not arguably, he is the best angler on the planet right now as far as the stats go. But it is possible to do. But it's like anything in life. Anything you're very interested in, you're very passionate about. If you can find that one thing that you want to try to be the best at, you just immerse yourself in it. You can outwork everybody and be within the top 5% in the field just by simply working harder and staying in it, staying focused, not getting distracted, and you can make it. That's the way I did. That's the way Matt did. I know I didn't really get into my origin story as young as a lot of other guys did, but when I actually first started bass fishing, I was in high school, and there was a farm pond that the farmer that owned it, he would pretty much run me off about twice a week. I would sneak in there and fish, and he would come and run me off. And I finally, after 3 or 4 times of him running me off and yelling at me, cussing at me a little bit, that I asked him, is there some work I can do? Maybe I can trade it out. I can work for you, and you let me fish your pond. And so he had this big pile of 4-inch irrigation pipe, strawberry farm, and he's like, I tell you what, this big gentleman. I mean, it's 6 foot high, grown up with briars and everything. And he's like, you get all those pipes out there, pile them up over here, get them stacked up nice and neat, then I'll let you fish. I said, all right, I'll do it. Now, I'm 15 years old. I get my dad to drop me off in the pond. I got my rod, my boots. I go out there. It takes me about 4 hours. I get all those 20-foot sticks of irrigation pipe out. I got them stacked up nice and neat. Go out there and fish, and I'm happy. I'm getting fish now. He's not chasing me off. I don't have to look over my shoulder to see if anybody's coming. And, a week later, he catches me back out there again. And he's like, man, you done a great. He actually offered me my first job. So I got my first job working on a farm because of fishing. And it was just so I could fish that I got that job. And I feel like, if you recognize that's what you want to do, especially at a young age as you are, I mean, you're obviously a lot younger, and you can do a lot with that just by already knowing it. And there's so much information out there that we didn't have when we started. Like we couldn't get on the internet and Google like bed fishing tactics from Shaw Grigsby. We couldn't do that when we started up. But now you can go, and in an hour you can be almost as good of a bed fisherman as Shaw is by watching his videos on the internet. So there's so much information out there that you don't have to actually physically be doing. You can watch it and see how it's done. And when you notice you're in that situation, you're already prepared for it. You're not second guessing yourself. So hard work and determination will beat skill 90% of the time. So that's the biggest advice I could offer.
I'm like Brian. I mean, there's no exchange for time on the water. So you get out and fish as much as you can all the time. But one thing that you kids have the opportunity to chase that I'm jealous of, and I'm sure everybody up here is jealous of, is college fishing programs and how they've grown across the country. And I've got some buddies who have some kids that are super successful high school anglers, even have had a lot of success at the BFL level. I mean, one of them's won a regional, made All-American, things like that. They're not real excited about college fishing. They just want to jump right into it and take off. But one thing I'll tell you, and Thrift mentioned Jacob Wheeler. Jacob Wheeler, coming out of 17, 18 years old, had a mentor, a guy by the name of Joe Thomas. A lot of you know he still has a television show. And Joe made a living in the industry through television, advertising, sponsorships, things like that, not tournament fishing. He kind of took Jacob under his wing, saw Jacob was something special, and taught him the business side and told him how important that was. Well, he came in, won All-American at 19, won the Forrest Wood Cup at like 22, and he was able to maximize those opportunities on the business side of the industry. I've seen guys win 1, 2, even 3 tour level events and disappear. That should never happen. So, take the time, go to college, get your education, concentrate in marketing, public speaking, things like that. You know, I got a degree in agricultural business management at NC State, and I minored in economics, and that, believe it or not, that does help me in this industry some. But I did take some public speaking courses, and I got involved in things like that. And, you know, one thing I tell all these kids, middle school kids and high school kids, is a lot of them, you know, they don't come up and ask us questions. They don't come up and talk to us. They don't send us messages on social media because they say they don't want to bother us or, you know, whatever it is. But do not be shy, because you will not get anywhere in this industry if you are shy and scared to go up and ask for something. The worst that somebody can say is no, but never be afraid to ask for it.
Jordan Lee's probably a good example in college. He was coming up with vision for Auburn, I think it was. Any more questions?
How do we get gobies put in Smith Mountain?
Hank? Hank said they're going to bring the sleeper buses first. Anybody else? Questions? Oh, yep.
Come on up here for me. I'm trying not to blast everybody here.
So I appreciate everything y'all had to say today. And I just wanted to point out, especially after the high school guy came up and asked this question, I fished the Red Man for 3 years. And I learned more as a co-angler about fishing and how to fish from just doing that and listening and keeping my head on a swivel and never thinking that you know more or know everything. Listen to everybody and keep your head on a swivel. And I like y'all to think about that.
That's true that, you know, Hank and I fished back in the bass days where you got paired with another pro and there'd be some heated incidents with that. But one thing that was really cool is you get paired with him and you'd learn so much. I remember getting paired with Rick Klein out at Lake Powell, our first time at Powell, and I'd found spawning fish way up the river and you know, past Bullfrog or wherever it was. I get paired with Rick, and of course I know Rick's record out there in the West, and I said, well, I'm riding with you. And dude, he ran down the lake and pulls into a little hole in the wall. There's just a crack in the rock, and it opens up into a pond. And he said, come on up and fish. So I'm standing side by side with Rick Klein. He's throwing a spinnerbait, and he looked at his watch when he caught his limit fish. He looked at his watch and said 43 minutes. He said, I didn't think it'd take me that long. And I'm right there with him, casting in front of him, casting around him, and I had like 2. And I realized, man, it's really good. Then we ran up to my fish, and he got to enjoy some sight fishing, and then we went just fun fishing. We both had limits, so now we're fun fishing and trying to get a better fish. And I sat back and it's amazing the exchange of knowledge when you get to spend time in a boat with one of these guys. And so, you know, I've had the opportunity to fish with Terry. I don't think I've had the opportunity to fish with any of the rest of them up here, but Terry and I have got to fish. And it is truly cool to be able to spend time in a boat with a professional angler. And I up to probably just a few years ago, I'd still get asked the question, says, do you ever get a real job? And they just don't realize that as a professional angler, you know, your job starts, you know, way before daylight. You know, I mean, sometimes I'm up at 3 a.m. and I'm trying to get ready to get stuff and launch the boat, especially in those summertime tournaments, and it doesn't even get dark till like 9 o'clock, and you're still rigging and gassing and trying to grab a bite to eat, and it's just long and drawn out. But like they said, the passion for it and just the desire for it is the biggest driver, you know, and that's kind of the deal. But yeah, I agree. You learn from every angle you get on there.
Yeah, I've been doing this for 23 years, and I've been Shaw fishing together some, and I learned a lot from Shaw. I love fishing with these other guys. Sometimes we don't get the opportunity. I fished with Bryan Thrift we had a team event. We wasn't in the same boat, but we had headset communications. Our thought process, we was talking to each other, so we knew what was going on. We learned from each other in that way. But it don't matter. I've been fishing professionally for 23 years, and I promise you, I would learn something from each one of these guys, and I could come out and fish with you guys, and I could learn something from you guys. So you never know who you're going to learn from. And if I was a young professional, high school or college, trying to come up fishing, fish with as many people as you can, and just take mental notes. You might not think it's that big at the time, but it is. Small things makes big differences in fishing. And the worst thing that I hear, somebody come around my area, hey, I need some waypoints, I need this. They don't want to go out and find them. They don't want to do the work. They just want catching fish is fun, and they just want to make sure they go catch fish. They're not looking for them. You're not going to learn that way. You're learning what I know. Which, if I give you a waypoint, you're not learning how to find them. So go out and do the homework. If you can figure out how to find them on your own, and learn from everybody you fish with, learn little tips and tricks from everybody you go with, you'll be way, way better off.
One thing I want to touch on what Terry said, because he made a great point about finding fish on your own. So especially, that's something I want to stress to the high school and college kids. If you can ask us any question, we'll give you our thought process and our opinion on it and what's worked for us. But if that's all you ever do, if you don't try to take it to the next level, that's as good as you'll ever be. You'll never be better than us because you're doing the same thing we are. You got to take the things we say, the things everybody else tells you, and try to go to the next level with it. Try to evolve that and take it one step further. And when you get that mind frame that you're going to take that next step and try to better that and build a better mousetrap, that's when you'll become a better angler. And you may be up here talking to us one day by having that thought process of never being satisfied and always trying to evolve and get better and better with each situation.
So, just echoing what he just said, Rick, I keep saying Rick Klein because I appreciate his thought process. Rick Klein said this. He said about finding fish on your own. The worst drug. What is the worst drug as an angler you could ever take? What is the worst drug? The worst drug Rick Klein said you could ever take is get somebody to take and put you on fish. Because at that moment, he says it destroys your confidence, destroys you as an angler, and you think that you have to have somebody's help at all times. He said the worst drug you could ever do is for somebody to tell you where fish are and it pay off by chance, and you caught them there. Then you have to think you have to have that help at all times. And I never forgot Rick Klein saying that. And I don't care. I don't ask people. I think everybody thinks that a lot of the anglers get all this help. We don't. Like, none of us ask anybody. We don't ask. We're on top of our game. We're at the top level. We don't have to ask people where fish are at or how to find them. But I thought that was cool when Rick said the worst drug in fishing you could ever have is for somebody to tell you where fish are at and it actually pay off and you catch them. He said from that moment on, that is the worst drug you ever took, and he says you'll never excel. And I thought that was pretty cool.